Iban Romeo, the young Spanish Team Movistar rider, has been proclaimed under-23 World Time Trial Champion after a real exhibition on the final flat section of 12 kilometres, where he even went faster than several men of the elite category, such as the Slovenian skier Roglic or the Swiss Stefan Kung. It's curious that the performance of this 21-year-old, who's been part of the team of the dinosaur Eusebio Unzue for 2 years without ever having shone, without any victory as a professional. In fact, his last victory against the clock was the National Championships of Spain in 2021, 3 years ago. And here he is. Perhaps it's a clear sign that the competition level in these under-23 World Championships, except for the disappointing Alex Segar, has not been up to par because men like Josh Tarling or Matthias Vacek or Magnus Sheffield have competed in the elite category instead. Team Movistar, however, is still celebrating. 18-year-old Kat Ferguson continued her magic season full of victories, taking the win in the Women's Junior Time Trial, a great triumph. Although we recommend for her mental and physical health that she leaves the Unzue stable soon. It's a friend's advice, Kat Ferguson. We tell you with our hand on our hearts. And of course we must also talk about the scrawny little French monster of only 59 kilos, Paul Seixas. We knew that the new signing for the Decathlon AG Desert team was a monster on mountain passes, with data close to that of our beloved Danish anchovy Vingegaard on multiple stages throughout his junior season. He'd won on all types of terrain, with as many as 15 wins all year, the likes of which we haven't seen since Focus in Evenepoel swept the junior calendar in 2018. Well, this 17-year-old was also able to win at the Junior World Championships time trial with an absolutely flat course. To see a guy of his weight sweeping the field in this kind of event is absolutely scary. And neither the little aero missile recently signed by the Visma team, Mathies van Kerkhove, nor the Dane, because there's always a Dane, in this case the one recently signed by the Lidl Trek team, Albert Witham Philipsen, well, they haven't been able to get to the level of Paul Seixas. He looks like he's the new monster of the Van Rysel Bikes team. Tremble, everyone, because I'm convinced this guy is going to be allowed to do all sorts of things and make all kinds of exhibitions, especially with Selfie Lepation at the helm of the UCI for years to come. Now subscribe to the channel for more cycling content and also follow us on our personal Twitter @UncleCycling. That way you'll be able to keep up with the latest news. And now, yes, let's get down to what we're all really interested in, the explosive statements from the Slovenian alien, Tadej Pogacar. We already knew the other day, thanks to the insider Mo, that Poggy, our popular boyfriend of Urska Zigart, is competing without any TUEs and that everything he's achieved in recent years is typical of extraterrestrial forces that he possesses in his unique, exclusive cellular matter. However, now it's Poggy himself who wants to talk a little more, express himself just that little bit further in the podcast of Peter Attia, MD. Yes, friends, a doctor whom we imagine he knows personally thanks to the miracle-stroke-bald fraud, Inigo San Millán, since both Peter Attia and San Millán are experts in the search for the cure against cancer, which of course we applaud thoroughly. These men are fighting the good fight, even if they are making a few euros on the side doing other activities. In this case, Peter Attia has had exclusive access to Poggy, a guy who doesn't often give interviews, unless they are people who are obviously submissive, like the Welsh alcoholic Geraint Thomas, or people with whom he's collaborated. And so we imagine that Dr. Attia, who had previously interviewed Low-Cost Lance in another of his episodes, has also been able to give Poggy some advice during the 50 minutes of chit-chat that both characters enjoyed on the Doctor's show. Now, Poggy confirmed some details that we already knew thanks to Mo. For example, he would love to win every major race on the calendar, including the crazy Mickey Mouse Badger-approved race that is Paris-Roubaix. He also insists that Milano-San Remo, where he finished third in this recent season, is the race that creates more headaches than all of them for him. Many say that it's a simple competition, but from the point of view of his uncle's cycling highlights, it looks like the most complicated to win, because it can be won by sprinters like Arnaud Demar, or multi-tools like Wout van Aert, or pencheurs like Julien Alaphilippe, or strange beings like Matej Dropper Mohoric and his telescopic seat post. Poggi said that he should possibly take more risks on the descents, and this will be one of the aspects that he trains for with the 2025 season on the horizon. Now, regarding specific training data, Poggi left us with some very clear details that we have to take into account. He says that power meters no longer matter, and that Javier Solá has taught him that VAM, the vertical meters per hour that measures the average speed of ascent, is the new key to improvement in climbing. The Slovenian alien also gave a lot of personal data, such as his heart rate in recent years and in important races, and also outlined his big change during the 2024 season, the changes in weight, much reduced, something that we had already commented on at the beginning of the campaign, and training changes too, involving position and materials, something that we've also told you about on numerous occasions. And so at this point in the podcast, it seemed that the alien was not really going to tell us anything new, since any intelligent follower who follows this channel, for example, knows perfectly well all about this data. However then, Poggi dropped a pearl for us, a pearl on which we want to dwell, something which explains a lot of things about Poggi's performance. You already know that one of the great mantras of the new wave of cycling involves changes in nutrition, something which we have been able to see personally with the Slovenian alien in recent years. Ice cream and beer or industrial pastries were all part of his diet, without any problem. But it seems that all the new modern nutritional advances, they weren't around 5 years ago when he debuted as a professional back in 2019. Urska Zigart's boyfriend recounted to a stunned Dr. Attia that back then he was going from cake to cake and simply existing by eating shit. And this prevented him from being able to eat the 120 grams per hour of energy bars and gels that he consumes today during the hardest stages, something he couldn't do in the past. It was absolutely impossible. But now, thanks to the advice of his nutritionist, Jorge Prieto Belver, everything has changed. This university professor designed some special gels and a drink. We don't know what the secret formula is, of course, but it allows him to digest food and carbohydrates more efficiently and no longer cause stomach problems. The fact is that Poggi confessed that in 2019, while finishing third in the Vuelta a España and while winning stages after attacking 40 kilometers from the finish line, he always, absolutely always, bemurdered himself. He shit his pants, something that of course now doesn't happen to him. This begs the question, what would Poggi take for 62 days of racing in his pro debut year, when he logged as many as 8 wins, and all to end up filling his pants with brown liquid 62 times? We suppose that Tom Dumoulin could give us some explanations from his new position as a commentator, and from here we can only encourage him to do so. Spill those beans, Tom! But without wanting to tell all, Poggi has told us how Moonlight Machin and Dracula Gianetti are continuing to perform all kinds of experiments on young riders, in this case a fresh-faced Poggi of only 19 years of age, and the poor lad ended up shitting himself with serious stomach problems. Perhaps it's true that the advances in nutrition are really changing cycling. Changing something. Oh well, check out the video on the screen while you're here. You will be sure to love it.